Hey guys, Nick from NCA here coming to you with a video tip, and in today's video tip we're going to talk a little bit about hand position of your grip, just kind of going over the basics of exactly where we place our hands on the gun. So the first thing when we think of picking up a gun, we think about starting with our strong hand. Now whether you're left or right-handed, it's going to look the exact same. I'm right-handed, so that's the way I'm going to be doing this. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is looking to drive the web of my strong hand as high as I possibly can into the tang or beaver tail, what's commonly referred to as the tang or beaver tail of the gun, this part here, as high as I possibly can. And we're going to talk in a video later on about why that's important in more specific detail. But for hand position, that's the first thing I'm going to be looking to do, is drive the hand as high as possible into the tang of the gun. Fingers obviously going to be straight along the frame of the gun, off the trigger. My three fingers are going to wrap on the front strap of the gun. And another important factor, again, to ensure that my hand is as high as possible, is to get my middle finger to make contact with the bottom of the trigger guard. And then finally, just some detail on what we do with this thumb. More often than not, the biggest issue we see is people actually keep this thumb down, and that starts to affect the position of this other hand. Sometimes it comes on top of that thumb or even underneath. What we want to do is actually get that thumb up out of the way, and sometimes that can be difficult for people to do. It could be because of the actual width of the gun itself, so it could be a factor of somebody with a small hands has a hard time actually just having room to actually lift their thumb out of the way. Sometimes people are afraid to lift their thumb up the way because they think it's going to get hurt by just having it in contact with the slide, which it won't, or that it will impede the function of the slide and actually prevent it from cycling, which again, more often than not, it won't have any sort of issue with that. And we're not digging our thumb into that slide, we're simply lifting it out of the way to create a void or a space for our other hand. And again, in another video down the road, we'll talk a little bit about why this is important, but I'm trying to get as much surface contact on that gun. Also, again, thinking with my support hand here about being as high as possible, just in the same way I'm thinking about being as high as possible with my strong hand. I want to do the same thing with my support hand, so I come in and make contact with this fleshy patch sort of at the base of our palm, all the way through the base of our palm really is making contact on that side of the gun. And again, I'm coming higher. You can see that my hand is actually at a little bit of an angle. It's not necessarily perfectly straight, but at a little bit of an angle to again get the palm just a little bit higher. And that could look a little bit different depending on each individual. Some people might have a little bit more or less flexibility or range of motion in their wrist. And so that can look a little bit different from person to person, but in general, I'm trying to have it in this position, getting as much surface area contact between my hands and the gun as possible. And that's what we would refer to as a thumbs forward grip.